Brilliance Audio.
All He Has Left by Chad Zunker. Performed by Christopher Ryan Grant. Jake Slater was already having a bad night. It would get much worse. Death changes everything, especially when it hits as sudden as a devastating tornado. Jake was not altogether shocked when he walked into the empty parking lot outside Stephen F. Austin High School, where he was the head football coach, and found the words, "Coach Slater Sucks," spray-painted in red on the side of his white Jeep Cherokee. Hours earlier, Jake's football team had lost their 5th game in a row. The fans were irate. This was Texas. Football was king. This year's team had been projected to make a run at state, but Jake had ruined everything, according to the community, by kicking the star player off the team 6 weeks ago for punching a teammate in practice. Jake had never heard a crowd boo so loudly at the end of a game, which felt like the lowest point of his 20-year coaching career. His phone buzzed in his pocket. He pulled it out and read a text message from his wife, Sarah. "We're at my parents' house. Can you meet us here?" Jake sighed. The last thing he wanted to do was go over to his in-laws' place tonight. He was already tired and frustrated. Having anything to do with his overbearing father-in-law right now would only exacerbate that. He was supposed to be meeting his wife and 11-year-old daughter, Piper, at an IHOP restaurant down the street, a family tradition they'd started a couple of years ago after home games. These post-game dinners had unfortunately been miserable of late. He texted her back, "I'm exhausted. Can we just go home?" Sarah replied, "Please, Jake, just for a few minutes." He growled under his breath. "Fine." Jake climbed into his Jeep and put the key in the ignition. The engine sputtered for several long seconds, as if trying to make up its mind about running tonight, before eventually starting. The old Jeep was on its last legs. Jake had been driving it forever, though Sarah had wanted him to get a new vehicle a long time ago. Something nice, like her Lexus SUV. His wife had a lucrative career as a financial partner in her family's investment firm. It had afforded them some luxuries most other high school coaches didn't have, like living in a spacious new house in an affluent suburb in West Austin. But Jake didn't want to stand out in the parking lot among his assistant coaches, who all drove run-down vehicles. Nobody got rich coaching high school football. He'd married into it. Driving out of downtown proper, where the high school was located along the shores of Lady Bird Lake, a stretch of the Colorado River that weaves beautifully through the city, Jake headed west. A few minutes later, he pulled into the gated driveway of his in-laws' massive estate. Their place sat along an exclusive private street on a hill overlooking the river, with a spectacular view of downtown. A real estate agent friend had told him years ago that every property on this street was worth more than $20 million. And Jake's in-laws had one of the biggest homes, which looked more like a Tuscan castle to him. Sitting on 4 acres, the house was over 12,000 square feet. Everything about it seemed pretentious and ridiculous. His mother-in-law, Janice, might as well have left price tags on items she'd purchased from around the globe, the way she so casually talked about the expense of every statue, vase, and piece of artwork. Jake punched in a code at the security gate, waited for it to open, and then drove up the winding path to the house. He parked next to Sarah's Lexus in a huge circular courtyard, bordered by 2 4-bay garages on each side. Jake walked up to the front door of the 3-story mansion, with its mix of earth-toned stone and stucco, rustic lines, and beautiful arched openings and doorways. He knocked on the massive glass front door.